Today I'm going to do something that I've never actually tried before. I've been thinking about it for a long time. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to build a raised poly tarp camp cot. I've watched Far North Bushcraft, used to be called Fresh Air, his channel, a long time ago. He had made up basically a piece of canvas that was a tube, like 8 feet long kind of thing. And you could put 2 poles down each side, spread them apart, and you got yourself a cot. Well, he made his out of canvas. And canvas, like he said, it's a little heavy, it's a little bulky and such. And for me, it's a little expensive. But it works great. And so actually, Econo Challenge, Jeep, he makes a sil nylon version of the same thing called the Amazing Camp Cot. I actually have one, and it works great. But I've been trying to figure out how to do it with a poly tarp. And it's always been, floating around my head and such. But I haven't really done too much with it. Now, I was watching Forest Walker, and he did somewhat of a version, somewhat like my pea pod. Showed a camp chair with a poly tarp, which I have a video on that as well. And then he showed a camp cot, the same kind of style, with a tarp, with a poly tarp. Although he set his up a little different. He went through the grommets. I know how I can do it, and I'll feel safe about doing it this way. So let's get busy. I have a whole lot of these little pieces of branches that I've cut, and as you can see, they're square. I'm going to take my knife and just kind of take the square edge off, because these are going to be my buttons in my tarp. That way there it's not going to rip through. I'm going to do that with each one of these buttons. Take a couple minutes, but it's worth it. Way there I won't have to worry about it ripping and cutting through my tarp. So that's what it would be like. Got my buttons that I'm going to use right there. They're all, took the sharpness off of them. And I have a 6x8 tarp. It's a heavy duty tarp. I actually got this at the dollar store for $3. But I have used these quite a few times, just sticks for the button method. You can use, some people carry marbles with them. Although you can get stones. You can use pine cones, small little spruce cones, small little pine cones, and you know, I use sticks. Now, something like a spruce cone or something is great for tie outs and such, but I wouldn't use it for this because of the weight of it. It'll probably just crush and pull through. So that's why I'm using these sticks. There's going to be a lot of pressure on these, and a stone would be great as well. Marbles, if you want to carry them, they'd be great as well. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to fashion this and make this into basically a big long tube. So I have some paracord and bank line. I'm going to use bank line for this. Some of these smaller pieces already cut, so I'll use those first. And what I'm going to do is put a slip knot. So when I put it in, this will slip around. So what I want to do, this is my 6 foot this way. It's 8 feet long. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to turn it in on itself like that, just by probably 4 inches. Turn it around and grab one of my sticks, put in the center of this, so it's going to be like right here, 4 inch or a couple inches in, probably 3 inches. Grab the other piece and go like that, right there. And now I'll put this around it and cinch this up. Now there's no way that that can come out of there unless it rips the whole tarp. That's the whole point right there. This, unless it rips the tarp, which I know I've laid in one of these, you know, and slept in them, I've never had one rip on me. So for this to rip out, I don't know. It's cordon on the tarp maybe. But I feel pretty secure with that right there. Now I'm going to go down probably, you know, a foot or so. I'm going to do the same thing. The whole length down through there. This is tied the whole length now. Every foot or so I put one of those buttons. I'm going to show you the trick to those. If you look here, they're cinched in underneath this button. So that way there it cannot pull off. They have to be cinched really tight in underneath, collecting that. Now the only way that can rip is if that basically pops out, that button. But I've got it cinched in there so tight it should not go nowhere. Like I said, I've got that the whole length now. Let's see what we can do with making it into a raised bed. Taking one of my poles and put through here. What I think I'm going to do is tie this to these 2 trees. And never set it one up like this before, but I think it should work. That's what it's all about, is trying new techniques and see what will work and what won't. This should work. I've done similar things in the past. I'm going to tie this securely between this tree and that tree. Slash on that tree and that tree. I put my weight on it. I know it's not going to let go of the trees. This pole is a little small, but I think it should do. Notice I'm not real high off the ground, and until you actually test the equipment you're using, you should always make sure and be ready for a fall and a fail. So make sure there's nothing hard underneath you, anything that can pierce you. If you do fall, just remember, it can break or it may break. So I'm taking precautions, so hoping it don't. But you always have to remember that, because you do not want an injury. I'm going to take this other pole and slip through that now. That's going to work pretty well perfectly. I'm going to be able to tie that right to this other tree here. And then I've got a plan for the other pole, the other side. Learning how to lash is a very important skill. Now all we got to do is pick up that other end. For this other end, that's where paracord is going to come into play. Going to tie that right around this part right here. Just like that. And now I'm going to come out to this tree over here and tie that up. So that's going to hold this side. I want that pretty high, so I'm going to have to go high on this tree. Pull it tight. This tree's a little smaller, so what's going to happen is it's going to bend inward as well. Don't want to cut my paracord, so I'll deal with the little bit of extra length there. I think it's ready for testing. Okay, I'm going to test this out now. First thing, always remove any sharp objects before you get into any tarp, hammock, or anything. I'm going to set that aside. Now when you first get in this, things are going to adjust. You've got to realize that. Go nice and slow and see how it works. I know that end's going to drop because of there's nothing underneath of it. I could make a tripod stick underneath that. There's many ways to do it. I just wanted to show this as an option. So, hopefully these things don't break as well. That's holding my weight. Okay, it's holding my weight, as you can see. This is dipped down, which I'm fine with, but I'm going to shake around a little bit to see, you know, is it actually going to work. I'm 220 pounds, and you know, besides these bending, the tarp's holding up well. Besides a little bit of cordage and taking a little bit of time to carve the little buttons, I'd say this is a success. You know the benefits of a raised bed in many different areas. A lot of people carry a 6x8 tarp. This is a heavy duty tarp, which I prefer to carry anyhow. Now, this has a kind of a gray, you know, color on the inside. I don't know if it's reflective or not, but you could easily, you know, glue in a reflective sheet in it if you wanted to, and use it as a survival tarp. This is just something I wanted to try, and I'd say it's a success. Thanks for coming along. Bye for now.